Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to talk about things that we should all, well maybe not all of us, but I think that I have been doing, I guess, to sort of get ready and prepared for spring. And this was actually a suggestion from someone on Instagram. I posted a question box on my Instagram asking what I should post. Originally I was going to post some favorites, which I'm still going to do that, which will probably still be posted, and it'll probably be my next, video that comes out. Yeah, I just want to get right into it because this is something that I kind of just was doing. I wasn't really realizing it, I guess. I wasn't really recognizing that it was for spring. I was just kind of oh, it's about to get warmer. I need to do this. And so the first thing that I want to mention is extending my moss poles, which I have two of them right here. And let me try and see if I can fit this on screen because it is a pretty hefty one and you guys are probably already gonna know who it is. It is my, oh my god. It is my Florida Beauty, which I recently extended onto a second Rousseau pole. So you guys can see right here, it has, this overlap of the extension. I just knocked over a plant. Oh my god. And so if you have poles or if you have a plant that is getting to the top of the pole, I would recommend you think about doing this ASAP. When I see people extending their poles way too late, it makes me feel I don't know, I just feel like it's a missed opportunity because there's definitely going to be some reversion there if you aren't extending your moss poles on time. And so this one, as you guys can see, it's not even it's not even growing on, oh my god, it's not even growing on this top part. It's not I didn't even let it get to the top of this moss pole. It's maybe a fifth of the way down, there's still some room on this moss pole, but I also wanted to consider leaving room for the extension. And then also you want to make sure that you're getting the extension on there before it gets above this right here, because if I let it get if I let this stem get all the way up here, I would have trouble getting this, first of all, getting this second extension on, and then second of all, it might not even want to attach to this second moss pole. So just be very careful with with when you're extending your moss poles. I have an example right here. This is my Splendid. I'm gonna need to extend this at probably today actually, because you guys can see it's already almost at the top of the moss pole. This is where it's gonna attach. You guys can see right on my finger there's a node, and then this is gonna be the size of the leaf, and then probably the next internode is gonna be long because it's already in caterpillar stage, which I don't think I've shown you guys this, but yeah, my Splendid is in caterpillar stage now, and so that means that the internodes are probably gonna get longer, but it also means that there's gonna be a lot more size up, which this plant has given me amazing size growth. And so yeah, this is an example of one that needs to be extended still, but definitely extending your moss poles. Please get on top of extending your moss poles, because it would just benefit the plant more if it was attached sooner, I guess, if that makes sense. But if you miss an extension, that's totally fine. I'm sure the plant will still attach. I know that it's a missed opportunity when you miss the extension. I guess it's also a lot easier for me to say that too, because I don't have as many gigantic moss poles. I know if I did, I probably would be laid on a whole bunch of freaking moss pole extensions. With this one, I think this was the first thing I did when I considered that it was gonna start getting a little bit hotter, and I was okay, I definitely need to get this. And I think I learned my lesson too, because last summer, the beginning or middle of last summer, I had my El Choco on a pole, I had this one on a pole, and it was getting to the top of that thing so quickly. And you, especially philodendrons, you cannot underestimate how quickly they will climb a pole, because they will prove you so wrong. They will just, it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. So that is on the top of my list for things that I did for spring. The next thing that I did is repotting and chopping my plants. And please, please don't get mad at me, but I did chop and repot my Solanum. I repotted it into this cool little planter. I'm not sure that I like it. I might move it back. I'm still kind of deciding how I feel about it. And then I also chopped it, so I gave it a little haircut. It's down to here. I'm honestly still thinking about chopping it even more, just because this vine right here is growing so weird. I can't tell which way it wants to grow. It's kind of growing down this way, but then it like curves this way. I don't know. This is a very good example of that, especially since this is a terrarium plant. It's mainly known as a terrarium plant, and so I really want to take advantage of like the heat and things like that to really get this like jump started into being a big plant, because I like, and also along with like repotting and chopping my plants, I'm also considering like if I want to sell this plant, if this plant is like profitable, or if I can trade for this plant, because that is one thing that I definitely want to focus more on this year. I've never really been like a big trader. Like I've always mostly sold my plants unless it was like with like a friend or just like people within my life, I guess, that I already knew. And I've never actually been like, oh, like let's trade this, or like I'll trade you this for this, you know. It's kind of just been like always like selling things. And even when I did sell stuff, it was like for very cheap, and it was like a cutting or whatever, you know. And so I definitely want to get a little bit more into that sort of thing. And yeah, I think it'll also help me complete things on my wish list too. So when you're repotting or chopping your plants, consider whether you have space to chop, whether you want to chop it, and whether, you know, you'll be able to sell it and get something, either get something that you want in return, or just sell it for money and then use that to buy yourself another plant. Another prime example of this is my variegated Maranta, which I did show recently, I think, that I chopped this back. Let me show you guys. This is all cuttings now, and the reason that I chopped this back was because I don't know if it's just with my specific Maranta, I've noticed it like twice now, because the first time, like the first version of this plant grew out a little bit too much, and then it like kind of got unstable and like wobbly, and like the primary stem was just way too thin, I guess, to hold it, and that's what happened again. And so I just decided to chop it back, and I have, you know, a lot of cuttings here that are going to flourish. I like can definitely guarantee it, because Marantas are just so easy. I don't even think I did anything crazy to like get these to root up. If you're wanting to experiment with rooting, I would definitely recommend getting yourself a Maranta. They root up so easily, like unbelievably easy. And so yeah, I like chopped this, and then like 2 days later there was already some roots poking out, so I was like, okay, this thing will be perfectly fine. Another quick little tidbit I want to pop in here as well is make sure you are like getting on top of your repotting when it comes to your Anthuriums. It's one thing that I kind of need to like focus more on recently. I definitely need to repot my Pelotophorum and my Wavy Noide as well, I think. And I think that Anthuriums are definitely like should be at the top of your list of repotting, because they do not really enjoy like drying out, and within the summer like it's just gonna be hectic to, you know, have to deal with that. And I think this is something that I like really need to kind of like think ahead of on, I guess, like be 3 steps ahead of this, because especially with my seedlings and stuff, like it is just going to be crazy if I don't have something to repot them into. And also Anthuriums just tend to grow bigger if you like consistently keep up with that. But yeah, this is something that I definitely need to consider for myself and like my own collection as well. And the next thing that I want to mention is taking note of your propagations and like what is pretty well rooted and what is like almost ready to be repotted into something. I think this is something that can sort of jumpstart your propagations. Like I feel like the time to propagate would be now, like in this sort of period where we're sort of slowly seeping out of winter and going into spring, because the sooner you can like chop those plants and get them rooted, the sooner and like more time they'll have to fully grow within like summer and spring. And so a lot of my propagations, which are actually in this greenhouse behind me, are somewhat like ready to come out of propagation. And so I guess just like really paying attention to your props. And also with this, I would add is getting rid of props or plants that you do not want in your collection. And whether this is like setting them aside, or just like throwing them out if you just don't have the time for them, because I think during the summer we're all like going, you know, to lakes or going on trails or just doing things outside. And so the less you can stress about your own collection and like propagations that you have, the better time like you'll have outside of your house and inside of your house. Because I think that that's one thing that a lot of people sort of dock down on like the tier list or whatever of like what really matters within their collection. And I think that this definitely needs to like be brought up a little bit more in importance, because like there may be things in your collection that you just aren't really realizing that you're not fully like resonating with anymore. And so I think that getting rid of those things that don't really serve you, or you aren't enjoying anymore, will really help you enjoy your summer and your own collection as well. And also just like it'll make the plants that mean more to you mean like so much more, because you're not going to have those other plants that are sort of clouding that, you know, collection, or just clouding that like thought of plants for you. Along with this, I would add is do some spring cleaning. And I don't mean in your house, like your clothes or, you know, dishes or whatever it is that you do your spring cleaning for. I mean for like your substrates, your vessels, your like plant supplies. Like get rid of things that you are not using. And this is something that I recently did. And another thing that I actually wrote down is cart, because I recently made like a little plant cart. If you guys haven't been seeing that go around, Unplant Parenthood has done one, Wildfern has done one, and I think You Don't Even Grow Here also has one. If you do not have a plant cart, get one. It is just like it is a movable cart that is filled with your, I don't know, your fertilizers. Like on mine, I have my fertilizers, some of my plant pots that, you know, I don't really like to have on my like display shelves, because it's not really nice, I guess, to look at like clear vessels all the time. And then I also have like my myco and like my small little like shears and like my pH tester, like all of that on a singular cart. And I can just, wherever I am in my room, I just take that cart with me. And it is like a repotting station that is like movable. It is so underrated, and trust me, you need one. I was one of those people that was like, I don't really feel like I need a cart, but trust me, it changes your whole care routine, your whole like the way that you take care of your collection. Trust me, you need one. It is just like so underrated. And I actually also recently got rid of a lot of substrates that I wasn't using. I had like a bucket of like, I had a container full of like orchid bark mixed with like perlite and charcoal and things like that, but it was like really small, and it has just been there for so long, and I haven't even touched it or opened it, especially since I got like my chunkier amendments and things like that. I just am not really using that anymore, so I got rid of that. And I also got rid of like some extra cocoa coir that I wasn't using. And another thing that I sort of touched on earlier is getting your sellable plants ready. And I don't mean just sellable, like if you're wanting to trade things, get those things ready too. And it also, if you're wanting to sell those, get those ready as well. And what I mean by ready is like repot them, make sure the roots are good, make sure they don't have pests, and if they do have pests, make sure you like either are taking care of it or mention it when you're selling that plant. And just in general, like make sure that your sellable plants are something that you would want to receive in the mail and that you would be excited to receive, which I think is really important, because I feel like this line can kind of get blurred when like people are selling something. They just kind of tend to lose that like reasonability, I guess, like within that plant. Like if the plant is just filled or infested with something, they'll just, you know, sell it off or whatever it may be. But just make sure that the plants that you're selling or trading are something that you would want to receive, and also healthy, I guess. You don't want to sell like a plant that has like stem rot or something like that. And if it does, and if you do want to sell it, make sure to mention that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Another thing that I want to add to this, which I recently did, if you guys haven't noticed, is move your space around. For my like space, especially right now, I feel like it's when people are like feeling the lowest within this hobby, because your plants aren't really growing, or you know, you're just like, it's gloomy, it's overcasted outside. And move your space around, make it feel more enjoyable to you, and then therefore within the summer it'll just be a lot more exciting to care for your plants and to watch them grow. And with this, like onto this, I also want to add that at least in my collection or in my space, I will move my space around when the winter comes around, because I don't want my plants near the window. I live in the Pacific Northwest. We get snow sometimes, and my windows are not very well insulated, and so there's like a draft, and so I will move my whole space around whenever winter comes around, just to make sure that my plants aren't, you know, getting cold damage or things like that. And so move your space back around to where your plants are closer to your window, or they're just in like generally a place where you really like to see them, or you just like enjoy how they look in that spot, anything that can bring that extra flavor and like spice and just enjoyment into your collection is a thing that I would recommend doing. And if you don't have a cart, make a cart, because trust me, you need one. I know you can probably find some like carts on like Facebook Marketplace if you're willing to get something like that. I got mine from like Target for like 40 bucks. Do not recommend it, because I don't think that that cart is worth $40. I already had this cart prior to even thinking about making the cart. I used to have it like in my space, and so if you have, you know, something that you can use for that, I would definitely recommend it. One more thing that I want to add is I have also, I guess I've unintentionally done this in my own space, make your like plant supplies cute. Like for a long time I had like a bag, I think that my Myco is actually like maybe 2 years old now, or is it a year? No, I think it's a year old. Like for a long time, like that bag kind of like ripped, and so the zipper wasn't working right, so I had like tape folded over it. It was a whole thing, and that bag just wasn't the best thing to look at. And recently, I'm gonna bring it over actually. Recently I replaced it with this cute little like jar that's a frog, and I freaking love looking at this thing now. Like I literally have my Myco in here, and it's just so freaking cute, you guys. I am like obsessed with it, and I think that this is something that like, I think like a lot of people kind of like use the summer to kind of escape their home and their collection and things like that. But like I feel like, why not have it both ways? Why not have your own space be something that you enjoy, whether it's like adding in these cute little like baubles and things of like things that you enjoy. Because if you didn't know, my favorite animal is a frog, and this is just so freaking cute. And I love, like, I literally have like right in my line of sight right now, I can see my cart, and so like anytime that I'm like using my cart, I just love looking at this thing. It just gives me like a hit of dopamine, and it is just like so underrated. And so just find little things to make your either plant supplies or just like your plant displays more enjoyable to you, whether that's like adding cute little things like this, adding cute unique pots, like whatever that means to you, do it, because it definitely makes the biggest difference. And it makes, at least in my experience, it makes me want to take care of my plants even more. It makes me, you know, own my plants as sort of like a de-stressor, like therapy. I can just get into like a flow whenever I'm taking care of them. And so just, yeah. Something really quickly that I also want to add here towards the end, which I kind of just realized, is combining plants together that sort of have the same care, I guess. Like with my bog that you guys saw me create a while ago, that was one big thing that sort of helped me with my like plant care, I guess, because I kind of got to put like plants that have similar care together so that they weren't as big of a stressor. And so like if you have multiple alocasias or multiple marantas or multiple like philodendron heart leaves or micans or something like that, and they're just kind of starting to stress you out, I would definitely recommend to also repot them and maybe put them together, or just keep them like in the same area as one another. Or you don't even have to repot them, just like get a big pot and like put all of the pots within that bigger pot, if that makes sense. This is something that has definitely eased my care, especially for my carnivorous plants, because my carnivorous plants are constantly drying out and just constantly needing water. And I think that combining them and putting them in an area where they're all kind of like, you know, the same care, it kind of helps me like recognize when one is drying out that I need to, you know, add to the rest of them. With all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know anything that you are doing to prepare yourself and your collection for spring, whether that's like to go do some fun activities like going on trails and stuff. I actually really do want to go on some trails this summer. I like can't believe I've only been to like a handful of trails in my area when like I live in the Pacific Northwest, and it is just like so beautiful. But yeah, also let me know any, you know, videos that you guys would like to see more of. I feel like I definitely just tend to struggle to come up with some ideas of what things that you guys would want to see that is like new and different, and it's not something that I've already done, you know. Really quickly, I also want to add this in. Recently, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know my posting schedule has kind of changed a little bit because of university and stuff. And so I was wondering, I had this idea to either stream on either go live on Sundays when I can't post, and you know, we can just like chat and repot things together, or just in general, like I think it could just be something fun that I could do whenever I want to, like even if I do post. But let me know how you guys feel about that. Let me know if you guys would enjoy that. Maybe we could have like, I don't know what we could do, but I feel like it would be fun to kind of, you know, take care of our plants together and have, you know, some interaction there. I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about it. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I truly hope you enjoyed.